Out of the thousands of videos I've seen about the recent ESPN layoffs, no one is saying this. Hold up. Thank y'all so much for liking and subscribing. We just reached 350 subscribers. Appreciate it. We love y'all. YFM Sports. Everybody got fired.
How the hell you gonna get fired on your day off?
Jeff Van Gundy, Jalen Rose, Kellerman, Keyshawn Johnson, they all got laid off recently, and people believe that there's more layoffs to come. But I really don't understand this. I don't want no one to get fired. But how in the hell did Jay Will still keep his job? He hasn't really had a good take, period, and most of his show got fired.
With the rest of the garbage.
Entertainment and Sports Programming Network, or ESPN, has been the worldwide leader in sports before I was even born. ESPN debuted on September 7th of 1979. Disney purchased ESPN about 25 years ago, and the place has become a powerhouse for sports. But in the past few years, since the world blew up, ESPN has seen a drastic decline. I blame all of this shit on Disney.
Not Disney.
Disney has decided to cut costs by cutting production costs for movies and TV shows, firing developers for their troubled Disney Plus and ESPN app, canceling movies for Marvel and Star Wars. They are firing 7,000 employees as an organization, and ESPN is one of the victims. Let's break down why I believe that Disney is destroying ESPN and what will ESPN look like in the future. Think about Disney as an organization in general. They have fucked up Marvel with so many terrible movies since the snap. Gangsters with teardrops left the movie theater crying like their mom died after Iron Man murked himself. But they fucked up that momentum. They mangled Star Wars and made it into a weird platform to push ideologies and gender politics. Not to mention what they just did to Indiana Jones. I'm not a big Indy fan, but they turned Indiana Jones into a drunk. He used to be a professor last time I remember.
Oh, I'm making this up as I go.
Oh, I forgot. Disney also got beef with the entire state of Florida. Disney as a company no longer has leadership and doesn't understand the new sports landscape. That old media shit is real, and if you are a fan of this, you probably like new media. There are so many YouTubers that understand how to run a successful sports media company, and ESPN just can't seem to catch up. Which brings me to my next point. ESPN no longer grooms and develop talent. Instead of grooming talent, I hate that word, it just kind of reminds me of Chris Hansen.
Oh, I know who you are, Chris Hansen. But see, I called you Chris Handsome.
ESPN only hires people that are former players or have an existing platform. They used to pick people from newspapers and radios for tryouts. That's how they found Stephen A. Smith. Unlike a lot of people, I like Stephen A. Smith, but he is a black man of his generation.
Weed, and they don't listen. Stupid.
My point is simple. ESPN is using this new Disney management system where they actually hire people that have more of a political agenda or to just know people rather than hiring people for different type of companies that are knowledgeable. Remember Barry the days of Mike and Mike? They worked on that show and continued to develop and pour resources into it until it was a success. They did not give up after 6 months. Imagine if they gave up on First Take when it used to be called Cold Pizza after 6 months. Remember Barry the Herd with Colin Cowherd? Now on Fox Sports. That's my favorite show. They promoted the Herd on video, radio, and the podcast. Do y'all remember the podcast app where you can actually listen to the podcast? I used to always do it on the train in Atlanta. They used to hire and develop producers, showrunners, designers, developers, and on-air talent. But now all those sports media vets have been replaced and fired with TV execs that don't give a fuck about sports media. Disney has slowly but surely taken more control of ESPN because they know it is a large property and they can promote their shows and movies on there. I ain't mad at that, but I'm mad about the simple fact that with all of these layoffs, they are firing people that have experience within sports media and how to actually run a show. That is fucking stupid. Now, since they fired all their on-air talent and Stephen A. Smith is scared that he may be next, what's going to happen? They had to get 90 million to Pat and the boys. So we all know the Pat McAfee show will be on ESPN. And yes, I think Pat McAfee's deal did get a whole bunch of people fired. I ain't mad at Pat for that bullshit because just like every other job, it sucks when people have to get fired, and people always get fired because they either gonna make new room, they're having problems with the expenses, everyone keeps blaming inflation. If you don't know, Disney has actually made more money this year. They're just losing more capital and all of that weird stock bullshit.
The Wolf of Wall Street.
I'm a big
He's funny, he's knowledgeable, and people within my age range, millennials and younger folks, love Pat and the boys. Those are the type of people that ESPN used to hire. Do y'all remember ESPN Ocho? That shit used to be funny and creative and cool.
The bet from a card.
getting after the muffin tin.
This is one of the most aggressive sudden death overtimes we've ever seen here on the Super Robot Fighting League.
Not anymore. And to me, Pat is like that same trope. He's the type of guy that you can see yourself having a beer with.
What you got on my drink?
And since Disney is losing money with streaming, movies, TV, and radio, others have to get fired and they gotta bend the knee and pay the guy and the boys. Besides First Take, none of those shows on ESPN hit anymore, and they are not on your radar. Look at YouTube. I don't even see none of those shows bringing out clips like they used to. And YouTube is where more and more fans are turning to for sports content, sports highlights, sports reviews, and things like this. My channel, YFM Sports. I do not want Pat to go to ESPN. It's kind of like what Chris Brown said. No, the other thing. That's it. I think they're going to buy this show and they won't even promote the show. I wish Pat was more like Barstool and said, fuck the establishment, but maybe I would have done the same thing if they passed me 90 milli. So with Pat and Shannon Sharpe possibly moving to ESPN, what could be the future and who else could get fired? Fox Sports and Showtime are coming for ESPN with shows like All the Smoke Podcast, The Herd, First Things First. But did y'all notice that Stephen A. Smith started his own podcast? We all know Stephen A. wanted to become a late night TV host, but that dream is gone since late night TV is gone. Colin Cowherd started The Volume, and to me, that shit has better shows than anything else on ESPN. Besides JJ Redick. Oh, I forgot, JJ Redick got his own podcast too. What I'm saying is simple. Any of those old media members that's been signed to these major corporations, now they want you guys. They want fans just like you. They want subscribers just like you. They want to have something like this where they can have their own platform and monetize for themselves, not have to worry about political agendas, Disney censorship, or topics that they have to cover because it makes their advertisers happy. With YouTube and podcasts, they don't have to work on manufactured topics when nothing is really happening in sports. They don't have to pump out daily content that no one really gives a shit about. They don't have to make up stories or narratives. If they believe it, they can say it and stand on it, like Draymond Green always says. Disney is destroying all of my member berries, and now they're messing with ESPN. I feel sorry for everybody that got fired, but I hope all those people start their own platforms on YouTube, podcast, Spotify, whatever medium they want to use. And I hope that their first episode is fuck Disney, y'all destroying ESPN. If you want to hear more about major corporations messing up things that we used to like, such as the HBO and NFL destroying Hard Knocks, click this link right here below and see why no NFL team actually wants to be on Hard Knocks this year.
Remember feeling safe? Remember no ISIS? Remember Reagan? Oh, I remember. Remember when there weren't so many Mexicans?